Okay, so I want to do a video on the community mental health system in Muskegon. Now, I was involuntarily committed by my mother, which is scary to me to see that somebody with the limited knowledge that she has of what psychology or psychiatry is have the ability to involuntarily commit somebody after they were being followed 37 miles, after they were being harassed, after they were being stalked, after they were being humiliated, after they were being threatened. Now, I walked to Hudsonville after being harassed, stalked, and set up by my neighbors, and they followed me all the way to Hudsonville. And when I got there, a police officer showed up and started asking me some questions. He wanted to give me a ride home, and I didn't want to go with the police because it was the police who had set me up to frame me from the beginning. Now, this was the Hudsonville police, not the cops in Muskegon County, but at the same time, I didn't want anything to do with the cops. So he basically said that I could be suffering from hypothermia. So he called an ambulance. The ambulance brought me to the ER. I gave them my mother's phone number, and she came down there and involuntarily agreed to involuntarily commit me. She has no awareness of what she did. She can't even explain to me why I was involuntarily committed. She can't comprehend it. And the community mental health workers were all involved in the contract stalking. Every time I went to after I was involuntarily committed, I never took any medication while I was in the psychiatric institution. Dr. Eric Erickson was the doctor at the psychiatric institution, and him and the lawyer that was down there were trying to convince me to take medication. Why would I take medication when I'm being harassed and stalked and followed around and my food's already being drugged by people I don't know? That makes no sense. So I'm not going to harm myself to please a bunch of strangers I don't know who have no awareness of what's going on with me to begin with. Then these people were doing this stuff at the psychiatric institution, just coming and walking by me and just looking at me. And when I got out of the hospital, I got video footage of walking by in front of the community mental health on Apple Avenue, which I had to go back to because of my court trial. The judge at the courthouse said that he thought I needed community mental health help, which I don't believe in any sense of the word that he actually believed that. I think to him that was a funny game. Like, I think these people thought this was something that was funny to do something like that to somebody like me. And so I'm going back down to the community mental health to fulfill my probation for 6 weeks. And every time I go in there, I'm sitting there explaining to them how I was being harassed and stalked in my neighborhood, and nobody is telling me that I was being followed. They're all lying. They're not saying, Jamil, well, you were being followed for this reason, or they were keeping an eye on you. Nobody admitted anything. It was all lies and denial, which is illegal. Which is illegal. And so when I was at the community mental health center, they had people outside community mental health following me around with cars with lights. People just standing outside wearing all sorts of different colors, as if this is a big game to them. And so I'm supposed to take, this was back a couple years ago. And I was sitting there looking at those community mental health workers, and they looked mentally ill to me. To be honest with you, I saw a newspaper article of a man who got caught whacking off outside community mental health, and he went to jail. Did he have to go to community mental health for it? One of the individuals that worked there named John Elba, I heard some horrible stories how he was taking advantage of the patients that they had and stealing money from them and using them. And to me, Muskegon County is such a fucking joke. The whole thing is a fucking joke. I think that the community mental health system in Muskegon should have somebody from Congress, the Senate or Congress, should come look at what these people have done at the community mental health center, because it makes no sense for a man who was stalked and harassed and framed for a crime he didn't commit, who had no community mental health history before that, to show up at a community mental health center and be followed around by cars with lights. It makes no sense. And I'm sitting here explaining this to people, and it's sad that my mother, my sister seems to have a better grasp on what I'm speaking of. She seems to take it more seriously, but my own mother is supposed to have had the authority to involuntarily commit me, and she can't even define what involuntarily commit means. That shows how fucked up the community mental health system in the 6th District Court is in Muskegon County.